Hello and welcome to another live at the waterhole. Hope you're ready and excited for this live and interactive waterhole show. My name is Taylor McCurdy and I'll be hosting you for the next 2 hours, and I'm looking forward to hearing all your questions. So if you just missed what I said, this is a live and interactive waterhole show, so you're more than welcome to ask me as many questions as you like. Now we're starting up in Kenya, one of my absolute favorite countries within Africa, on a very special place called Lentore. And what we're looking at right now is a troop of baboons, and they're drinking water. But this is not the typical baboon species that we see down in South Africa, which is the chakma baboon. This is the olive baboon, and they are amazing. You can see the baboon on the left that's sitting closest to us. That's one of the big males, one of the dominant individuals that'll be maintaining peace and protection amongst the group. You can see how fluffy he is, and there's another one just behind him too. I feel like the baboons in the Western Cape of South Africa look a little bit like this because it's so cold and miserable for most of the year. So they've adapted to having fluffy coats. But like I said, this is just the traditional look of the chakma, of the olive baboons. I am surprised that it is so quiet and that they're all just happily, peacefully interacting with one another. You can see some of the youngsters also now dipping down to have a drink. And then Prasida, hello. You said good day to everybody. Great to hear from you. Thank you for sending a little shout out. That's always nice. You can hear almost no vocalizations from the baboons, but the birds are very chatty and chirpy. Never mind. Well, I can confirm that those are the baboons. Somebody's getting in trouble. It sounds like a youngster not behaving and potentially being reprimanded. And there was a little one that was just sitting there fiddling with some orange seeds, which is interesting. Oh my goodness, look at that big boy. Off he goes. I'm not sure what it is. It's obviously hard to get a view of the fruit. I've actually never been to this area of Kenya. It's on my bucket list of places to go. Incredible offerings for safaris, and as you can see, the water holes that have got hides, which is so special. You can get amazing shots. It looked like almost eating fruit from a mistletoe tree. Tiny, kind of green on the outside, well, depending on where they're at, but as soon as you pop them, burst them out of their skin, they have this bright orange coloration to them. Oh, and then look at the tiny little baboon, little infant on the right. Gosh, face still bright pink and dark hair covering its body. It must only be a couple of weeks old, not very old at all. And this is a great opportunity again to do a size comparison between the male on the right and then the female on the left. He's almost double her size. A few more hellos. We've got Penelope, who's jumped on board, and as well as Harriet. And Harriet, you're from Cape Town, and you said it's overcast. What a shock. How are you surviving with the heat wave? I actually need to check the weather now very quickly to see what is going on with the weather in Cape Town, because I have no idea. It's just boiling hot for us all the time. It's currently 39 degrees Celsius in Hoedspruit. Let's see what's happening in Cape Town. And then I'll have to check the temperatures for Kenya too. Oh, Cape Town's freezing. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's not great. Enjoy your very low temperatures of like 18 degrees Celsius. Let's see what's going on in Kenya. Sorry, everyone. My internet is so slow today. This is the story of a life. The blessings we have of living in Hoedspruit, which is surrounded by wildlife, but no internet. But anyways, we'll give that a skip for now. Perhaps Gwyn, who's directing the show, can let me know what the temperature is in Lentore. But very special to see. This is not unusual. within a troop of baboons that you'll find that one male will spend more time than another female. We actually start to see a lot of this with younger individuals, younger baboons that are trying to climb the troops. And it works well. Look at this. You see, coming closer. Perhaps he's wanting her to groom him, or maybe he's going to make the first move and groom her. Now, when you're a young up and coming male, you need to get individuals on your side. You don't have the respect that a lot of the already established male baboons have. So you're going to try your luck. So they might find one or two females, really spend time grooming them, as well as protecting them, defending them from threats and potentially other individuals. And then that female will, of course, go, oh, well, thank you so much, sir. This is great. I think I'm going to hang around you. And then slowly but surely he'll win with a couple of different females and then really be able to go in and challenge one of the already established, that's not English, established. Anyone else also just make up words, like would just say them in a completely different accent that's not yours, and like unintentionally happens to me all the time. So it's just so fascinating and how complex the society of baboons really is. And if you've read anything about Lentoria and the camps that they have to offer, you probably would have seen that you have the opportunity to spend time on foot. Now, I know that's advertising, right? Terrifying, in fact, because why on earth would you want to spend time on foot? What are they doing? What are you thinking? I don't know what's come down to drink. Is it a baboon? We'll try to zoom out a little bit and see that all the baboons are fascinated by whatever is going on. Not fearful, though. No one's running away. Just curious. But anyways, back to the research that's being done there. So there's a woman, a scientist by the name of Dr. Shirley Strum, and she has been researching baboons for over 50 years. And like I said, one of the activities you can do is go out with Dr. Strum and spend the day with her. The morning or the afternoon is probably the best times to do it, when the baboons are leaving their roosts and heading out for the day, or coming back from a day of foraging and back to the trees that they prefer to sleep in. Oh, it's either fruit or feces falling into the water that was on the right. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if there's a baboon that's up in the tree and maybe they're feeding on something, or that's just a terrible place to be. But that's what was causing the splashes. That's hysterical. I just caught it at the last second. But you can see how distracted I get. The difficult. Now I lose my train of thought again. But anyways, so you can go out and spend time, and she will tell you about a specific troop of baboons that she has habituated. So no, she's not feeding them. No, she's not touching them. No, they don't come into her house and sleep in her bed. She just spends so much time following a specific group of baboons and just enjoying their presence. Oh, there we go. Yes. I think was that coming from a baboon's bottom? That could well have been coming from a baboon bottom, and that would explain the big splashes. So, so yeah, it's just such an amazing thing to go out and understand and see them, where baboons are not a threat to her, and nor or vice versa. And I've only ever experienced this once in my life, but sadly, no one was studying these baboons. But up in Makuleki in South Africa, so it's on the most northern border of the Kruger National Park, where the confluence forms of Zimbabwe and Mozambique. And eco training, funny enough, has a camp up there. And there's a troop of baboons that live in the camp, and they do not raid the kitchens. You can leave your bedroom door in, they do not go in. There's no rubbish lying around. Food is kept in a safe place. So they purely just have obviously recognized the safety of maybe living with humans, with leopards and things in the area, and utilizing the big nyala trees that shade the camp. So I thought that was quite cool. And you could walk through the camp and they just didn't even look at you. They didn't try and attack you. If you accidentally got too close, they'd actually get up and move away, but gracefully. And the one day I sat, or a couple of times I sat with them, loads and loads, and it was just so amazing to see how humans and animals can coexist peacefully, as long as we are tidy, right? And we are respectful and we keep our space and distance from them. Of course, it's not going to work all the time, right? And it depends on the animals that you're dealing with. But baboons, it seems like you're able to do it. So I'm going out now with a researcher, a scientist, and hearing all her in-depth information. And of course, if you didn't know, she actually studied anthropology, so that's her background. So I think it's been a good base for her with, figuring out human evolution and just some of the traits that we share. The way that we move, the things that we do, the social structure is also fascinating.
7 nights on safari during the magnificent green season. The rains have stopped, the land is emerald, and there are wild babies everywhere. Meet your favorite presenters.
This is amazing.
And create unforgettable memories on this once-in-a-lifetime adventure.
Thank you for coming along on this little adventure.
The Green Season Grand Tour, only with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Every guide in Africa has been on an endless quest for the ultimate bush wear. Until now. Rugged Wear has a huge range of amazing bush gear for every wild situation. In the midday heat, those chilly winter mornings, in the storms of summer. Rugged Wear has the bush kit for every wild occasion. Locally made in South Africa, crafted with precision, stitched with quality.
Come with us on a beautiful wildlife journey with Safari Spotlight. 4 unique South African locations, countless unforgettable moments, jam-packed with exhilarating and inspiring wildlife sightings. Bringing you intimate and exciting virtual safaris.
And it jumped up like this and shimmied all the way up.
Enjoy jaw-dropping moments as we tell authentic conservation story. Safari Spotlight is your ticket into the heart of the African wild. Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Sorry about that, everybody. It seems as though we're frozen. I panicked for a little bit because my kitten decided to run the keyboard, and I thought, oh no, I've broken everything. But thankfully, I've not broken everything. We're now back in Kenya at Lantore. Let's see if this little baboon is going to be curious enough to move around. I'm holding on to Mom quite tightly, not wanting to leave her side just yet. I always find this fascinating. When the mothers drink water, the little ones have to hold on. But look at that little foot coming out, the little hand, curious about the water, just touching it ever so slightly. Now, at this age, I'm not sure exactly how old this one is, but the fact that it's still pitch black with fur, I mean, it's not the teeniest tiny baboon I've seen, which is why it's quite comfortable in saying that it's only a couple of weeks old or so, and it's still attached to the front of mom. So it's not going to be drinking water, but new textures is always something that attracts or entertains youngsters. This is a pool party I don't think I'd like to enjoy. Can you imagine swimming around, enjoying the shade, and then the next minute, bloop, baboon feces all over the top of your head or in your cocktail? Or, yeah, I don't think that would be a lot of fun. You can see them all coming down the tree. So with it being quite hot, thank you, Gwyn. Check the temperature. It's about 32 degrees Celsius, which is a nice day. The temperatures don't really change too much in Kenya, but this is a good day, nice and hot. And they're going to spend a bit of time here, sit in the shade, drink water, but inevitably they're going to move off again and carry on foraging. Here comes the rest of the troop moving in now. And then, Joan, you've said that you love baboons. And Harriet, you also find them so fascinating. And then Calvin, you've said, can baboons survive in any type of climate? I mean, they're highly adaptable for the most part. Oh, run, little one. Someone's going to get chased. Yeah. Oh, I don't know what quite happened there. If it was people or if it was the baboons chasing each other. But interesting nonetheless. Oh, they're back drinking again. So sorry, Calvin. I would say yes. Barring the Arctic or Antarctica or Greenland or places like that where it gets excessively cold, I think that they would do quite well. There's only 5 species of baboons, and for the most part, the climates aren't that extreme. I mean, in some cases, they really are, right? When you're climbing up or living up in much higher altitudes, there's always that potential of snow. But they've got really, really thick fur that will protect them and help keep them warm. And they'll just adjust um, to their climates. Of course, if you just take a baboon from, say, the Masai Mara, where it's just nice and warm, and you chuck them somewhere else where it's freezing cold, they're probably not going to do so well. But over time, they will acclimatize. You see how the other baboons actually just get up and move out of their way. And then you can see there's a female. She's standing with her backside towards us. She looks like she's an estrus at the moment. Let's see if she's going to present herself to the male. Maybe she... No, she's definitely an estrus. Not interested in this male. Moving on to somebody else. I can't get over the reflections. So pretty. Lucy, you've asked, what is the life expectancy of a baboon? Again, it's always such a difficult thing to give a straight up answer to because there's just so many variables. Higher predator density could lower the life expectancy, food availability, climate change. There's all these different types of things. But I'm confident in saying anywhere from just over 20 to maybe just over 30 years old. And of course, there are those examples that live a lot longer, although few and far in between. And then if we add baboons in captivity, which thankfully these ones aren't, you can imagine they've got a daily routine, they get fed regularly, probably live a lot longer. Not necessarily that they have a better quality of life. They'll be there. There's less threat to the species. All just marching around, drinking from different sides of the waterhole. No one really wanting to leave just yet. And if it is that warm, I wouldn't wonder too away. You can see how green the shrubs are. There's plenty of food available. And I wash it all down with a quick.
Experience the magic of the wild on an unforgettable 4-night safari at Mabula Nature Reserve. Hosted by the one and only Stephen Falconbridge. With Steve as your private guide, you'll gain incredible insights into Africa's wildlife, leaving with knowledge and memories to last a lifetime. Get hands-on with conservation, track elusive cheetahs, and even take to the skies on a hot air balloon ride. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive. Welcome to a new era of seamless travel. Enjoy a hassle-free ticket purchase system with an effortless check-in, offering unbeatable value and a variety of options. Redefine business travel with Africa's award-winning value-based airline. FastJet, value, choice, flexibility.
Kenya's people, the landscapes and spectacular wildlife make it the ultimate safari destination. Come with me to the Masai Mara and Amboseli in May 2025. We'll explore the vast savannas looking for predators and then marvel at Kilimanjaro as the last big tuskers graze below. This safari is the perfect nature connection to calm the soul and escape from the world's folly.
This is one of the reasons why primates are so successful, is because they are social and they do look after one another, not obviously just in a protection kind of way, but the fact that they groom each other, that means just so much more. A lot of animals don't have the appendages that baboons and well, monkey species do. So you can see that female, gosh, she's really invested in making sure that this male baboon has no ticks or parasites. And of course, it makes for a great snack. But look at it. Look at the precision there. Wow. Goodness gracious. Someone got into trouble. They move so quickly. I didn't even have a chance to respond. I couldn't even get the word out. It happened so fast. I don't know if there was another male that was maybe unhappy that that female was grooming the male. I don't know. Could be a bit of that. She doesn't seem too perturbed though. She's quite happy now. She's like, okay, well, I got out of that then. Not quite getting my snacks. I've imagined it like kind of grabbing handfuls of peanuts and raisins every now and then, except she's obviously digging through, or they dig through each other's hair. But I think it's kind of the same. Oh, and there's wow, look at all those birds. They're so beautiful. My goodness. Now I'm gonna be tested because I don't even have. I'm trying to see if I've got my Birds of East Africa book. Where are you? Or my Birds of Africa book, but I don't see it on my bookshelf, which makes me really sad. Anyways, these look exactly like 5-finches. Aren't they beautiful? Clearly males and females. I have no idea what they are. I have to find one of my books, but I'm not going to do it now because I think I'm going to have to rummage through one of my boxes, which could be quite fun and a lot of noise. But, oh, there's a cordon bleu. Is it a cordon bleu at the back? You see it? It's got blue and it's got brown on the back and a bright blue beak. So there are some birds that I know, as you know, spending time around with the smaller birds. I haven't actually had that opportunity, to be quite honest, in Kenya. Having a bird bath or a waterhole right near the camp makes a great difference, and then you get to hone in on these smaller species. But when you're not focusing on them, it can be a little bit on the tricky side. Oh no, my kitchen is now see the birds on the screen. You cannot eat them. Go away, turtle. She'll be back though. They're also keeping out of the baboon's way, and smart, like I always say, when when we're watching birds and all the other cameras, is how the small little birds tend to stick near vegetation. Otherwise, they're vulnerable, might not get away if there is a bird of prey just lingering about. But for those of you that have spent a lot more time at this waterhole than I have, come on, tell me what what firefinch it is. Definitely one. Looks like some weavers also coming through now. This is so special. Some sparrows in the background as well. I'm going to wait for all of you to let me know. I'm just looking for a bird list very quickly for this area, for the Rift Valley. Penelope, you said that there are 5 inches. I completely agree with their 5 inches, but I'm wondering if anyone knows exactly which species this is. I should be better. I should know my Kenyan birds. I'm not too shabby at them, but when it comes to the small little ones, I've not spent enough time. I'm just quickly trying to find where I can see a firefinch, but I can't search. The other cool thing, if you haven't done it, I have no space on my phone. That's something else I've got to get to. Download the app Merlin. It's a free bird app, and you can download packages from all over the world, which is epic. You just need to make sure you install them correctly so you can use it offline. And that would help. So I'm sitting here thinking, what app can I delete? Because the problem is that the packages of those different countries are quite large. Some are saying an African firefinch, but they look so bright. Like, I mean, our firefinches are amazing. Need to just triple check that. So much brighter than what we would typically see. I don't know if some of them are red-billed firefinches, maybe, but I don't want to make any mistakes here. Oh, there's a cutthroat finch as well at the back, just onto the left. Oh my goodness, there's all sorts of things here. And what are you with the black mask? I know you. I've seen you before. It's something I'm going to have to brush up on. Big time. But it's okay. It's so tricky. I travel to so many different countries, and to try and remember all the different birds is always on the hard side. I wonder if they're red-billed firefinches. Just looking, they kind of have all the characteristics, but they're ballad. Maybe some African firefinches, yeah. Beautiful. I have a really great book, and I need to find it again. But my favorite one is The Birds of Africa. The reason why I like it is because it obviously has all the birds of Africa in it and compared. So you go to firefinches, and then it shows you the different species of firefinches that occur within the continent. Not one that you can really travel with, but a great coffee table book for actually a show like this. So I need to dig it out. It mightn't even be here. It might be in my storage unit, and that needs to be available at all times. Yeah, I've got a bit slow now with taking my books with me because I have a 15-kilogram luggage allowance. So I try and download apps. It's a little bit easier. Oh, look, bugs, ho-hos. That's my favorite. Looks like a dragonfly. No, go back to the ho-hos. Ho-hos is what we call insects in South Africa. I mean, look how much mud it is. Can you imagine the different species of wasps that are all here collecting mud? Oh, there we go. Janine Massane, you've said that it is a red-billed firefinch. Thank you very much for helping me. That's very kind of you. Yeah, I think I could spend all day at this hide. I wouldn't leave. That's the great thing. Is like, you've got so many different activities that you can do here, not just game drives, sitting by the hide all day. You don't need to be a professional photographer. You can just sit and watch, and that's the best way to learn. Look at them. There's flies, there's all sorts of things coming to collect moisture. Well, not to collect it, but to drink it, rather. So, okay, what we'll do is we're going to come back and do a little bit of birding here. Let me see if I can find the right book. Let's head over to Tembe Elephant Park, where I'm sure we're going to see elephants. Oh, what a surprise. On a day like today, I'm actually not surprised at all. But there are going to be plenty of elephants here, big and small. There's here a common scimitar in the distance. Yeah, I do know my birds, just sometimes I forget. It's also crazy to see how the water levels have dropped so much. I thought that the coast been a lot greener. Well, Southern Africa is in the worst heat wave that it's had, I think, in history, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just zooming in here to quickly look at the temperatures and what's happening with the weather. Oh, not too bad. I think on Thursday we're supposed to, yeah. Just looking at Thursday and Friday, I think there's going to be quite a bit of rain expected on the East Coast, and I think we get some in the Greater Kruger too. But I'll be back at Djuma doing the live drives. I get to camp tomorrow. I'm hosting live at the waterhole tomorrow, but then I only start on Wednesday morning, so I'll be able to give you accurate weather updates when I'm there. Lots of the usual birds, always Egyptian geese around. You see them in the distance. I see some doves. I think there's an African jacana, between the elephants that are closest to us. Woolly neck stork that we always see. There's a couple of regulars that we see almost all the time. Funny, I haven't really seen any breeding herds that come through this area. Well, a few, but it's mainly just the big bulls that have claimed this little waterhole. And Ari, you've said that that's a big tusker. Yeah, this area is known for tuskers. There's a couple of them. The bull, even right at the back, behind the tree, he's got magnificent tusks. I think these must be some of the largest elephants in South Africa. Good genes running through. Unfortunately, as most of you know, is due to selective breeding in the form of hunting. Well, South African elephants are really struggling. So same in Botswana, same in Zimbabwe, where even in Mozambique, where hunting has just been extreme. We now just don't have the genetics to pass on, but it's slowly but surely getting there. There are lots of tuskers that are emerging, and conservation now is a lot stricter, and they protect these wild spaces where there's no hunting allowed anymore. So it just will take a bit of while to spread their genes back into the elephant populations. Also some impala just lingering around. I'm just doing a quick scan now. There's the wolf always here. And I think that might be a white-faced duck at the back. Yeah, there's a couple of white-faced ducks too.
Join Wild Earth Travel on a unique nature adventure in the Greater Kruger Park. Legendary master tracker Renius Mhlongo leads a 4-day animal tracking experience followed by 3 nights in the Sabi Sand Nature Reserve. This experience offers a life-changing chance to track Africa's iconic animals on foot with a master of his craft. Renius is joined by Wild Earth presenter and expert storyteller Amy Krantz, and together they will connect you to Africa's wild heart.
Become a Wild Earth YouTube member today and unlock extras and bonuses, like ad-free streams so you can stay immersed in your safari without any interruption. Have your burning questions answered first by me or other expert naturalists. Join now to avoid missing out on these amazing benefits. Help us connect people to nature.
Get ready for a fantastic and new wildlife adventure. On Safari is going to be your favorite way to experience the wonders of the wild. Join us every week as we wrap up the most exciting and unusual highlights from our Wild Earth locations, dive into virtual safaris, learn to track and sign, special features on birds, medicinal plants, and fascinating natural history. On Safari brings the wild to you.
It's finally here, the next Wild Earth Grand Tour. Get ready for 7 unforgettable nights of prime wildlife viewing in the Sabi Sands during peak predator season. Immerse yourself with past and present Wild Earth presenters. Participate in a rhino conservation experience and get a behind-the-scenes look at wildlife filmmaking. Hosted by James Hendry. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
So Janice, you said, do elephants with huge tusks get more mating rights than the smaller tusked ones? Not necessarily, tusk size is one thing, and females will prefer to mate with males that are the biggest, that have the most appealing features, for example, says tusks, but there's a lot more than meets the eye. So with elephant bulls, the big dominant ones, if they do get into a battle, which we don't see very often, it's serious business. And having longer tusks doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a better competitor. So that also just comes down to skill and I suppose the personal elephant itself. Has it practiced fighting more often? Has it gone through a period of its time where it hasn't eaten so much? So, for me, I like to do this. Well, look at it this way: it's an elephant bull that's already been in must for a couple of weeks. So, if you don't know what must is, I'll do a very quick recap. Essentially, elephant bulls can breed at any time, right? But females will come into estrus and then they mate with them. But when elephant bulls are in their absolute prime of their life, they go into a reproductive state called must. And the levels of testosterone are a lot higher than what they typically would be. And this is very clever because what it does is it encourages elephants, specifically the bulls, to move into areas that they don't normally hang around in. Now, we know elephants don't have territories. They kind of have home ranges, and that's depicted by the amount of food and water availability, I suppose, as females. So as the bull gets older, they'll kind of stay in a similar space. And that's been proven and seen with elephants that are being collared. And then as soon as they go into must, you'll see them moving huge distances away from where they will typically spend most of the year. And that drive makes them go out and search females. Maybe they pick up a scent of a female in estrus and they'll follow them for a lot further, or they'll just go into a place and hopefully find some more breeding herds around there. So while they're doing that, they're not eating as much as they should. They're walking, they're on the move. They need to find the females and attempt to reproduce with them. So the condition starts to get weaker, if that makes sense. Obviously, they're in their prime and they're boisterous, but the fact that they also now don't eat enough, they still eat, but not as much as if they're not in must and not looking for females to mate with, that he's going to be weaker. So you might find that a bull that's just coming into must has got some experience on his side, but isn't as necessarily as big. Maybe there's a small size difference. And the other bull who's older, perhaps he's also in must, but he's coming out of it. He's going to be a little bit tired, right? Don't you think? Like my energies are low. I've been doing exercise or moving around all day and I don't eat anything. The same thing must happen to them. And they've already got a poor digestive system as is, and they have to consume so much vegetable matter every single day. So that could end up, throwing a match in favor of the less experienced individual. But we've all got different skills, just as every elephant will have a different set of skills. So it's a difficult one to answer, but I would say no, not necessarily. It's very difficult to give a yes or a no answer. I find myself, in fact, not able to give yes or no answers when it comes to wildlife, just because of how much we don't know and how much we're learning today. Because of the advancements of technology, everybody has a cell phone in their hand or a camera. We're now being able to access remote places in Africa. We're seeing all these what we would call new behaviors, but in fact, they've probably been happening for a very, very long time. But now there's actual physical evidence to be able to prove that. Like, I'll just give you an example. I saw the craziest video of a zebra, a mare, killing a young puku, which is a type of antelope. And I was like, oh, that's hectic. That's quite crazy, like a newborn. So, I don't know what the set of circumstances were. Did the female feel threatened from the herd? But it sounded like she actually moved out of the herd and went in the direction of where this puku was. But that's like, we'd go, why would she do that? She's a mother. Surely she doesn't need to kill anything. Are there really that much competition when it comes to food? You can see how we can go on and try and disprove it. But maybe she was just also in a bad day. And that puku just got too close. And she was like, you know what? I've been mad for the last 6 months and I'm taking it out on you. Who knows? So just interesting to sort of chat about, I suppose. A lot of the younger bulls get their trunks handed to them. Can I say that? I don't know. I'm trying to think of a PG version there. They are so boisterous. And I have to tell you, I had a recent experience, like recent, where a young elephant, I say young, and he's maybe in his late 20s. He came into camp really feeling sorry for himself. One of those bulls that just have not had the opportunity to mate with females, so there's a lot of pent-up frustration, probably been told off by some of the older bulls, but he's at that stage where he's now pushing around any elephant that's smaller than him, and also taking his frustrations out on people, vehicles, and coming to drive us insane when we're in a camp. Now, elephants come into camp all the time. They normally just do their thing. Maybe they drink water from the swimming pools, eat some of the nicely planted vegetation, and then they go off. They're not very often destructive on purpose. This elephant bull came in meaning business. He would not leave the camp. Now, I wasn't working, and I don't work for the company, but I can't sit and watch a disaster unfold. I really have to, get involved. The elephant would not leave the camp. People were banging pots, but everyone was staying safe. So I was like, cool. He's had lots of pots banged at him. He's been shouted at. He's had all these things happen to him. So I was like, here we go. Here's the most important tool that every safari guide needs, or anybody that works in wilderness areas, is a very good torch. Now, on our very good torches or flashlights, depending where you're watching, you have the strobe setting, which some of them with the LED light is so powerful that it would you would probably have an epileptic fit very easily. And by using that torch on that setting, the elephants get disorientated. It does not blind them, but we all know what happens when a bright light goes into our eyes. We're like, oh gosh, I can't see forward. And the last thing that an animal is going to do is charge in the direction of, say, for example, me or whatever it might be, when they cannot see what they're doing. So after about 30 seconds of the strobe light being on, I had to do this because he was about to walk onto the pool deck and drink from the swimming pool, but not the safe way. He then would have fallen through the deck, potentially fallen into the swimming pool, And that's a whole nother level of disaster. So I stopped him and he walked away. You could see and he just moved off to the side and he went around. But do you think it stopped there? No. He came back for more. And I was like, goodness, I was just about, I actually had to move from where we were sitting. Next minute, someone says, Taylor, he's coming back, one of the other guests. So I was like, oh, are you kidding me? Now, there weren't very many of us in this camp, and he's come around behind the kitchen now, and he's on the deck again, but from the bottom side, where he should be, not in camp. There's this lovely couple from Brazil that is just sitting there, and this elephant is getting closer and closer, and I'm already saying, "Hi, I think you should maybe get up and come towards me." Not listening, not interested, taking videos, still sitting at their table eating, and I literally jumped up and I grabbed this gentleman who was a very strong gentleman by the arm, and I pulled him back. I had to pull him out of his chair because he wouldn't move. And then I had to pick up a chair to put between myself and the elephant. So just imagine me, for those of you that know me, with a chair and the elephant like a meter away from me going, get away. I wasn't shouting those words. I was using a lot more creative words, like shooing this thing away because he was about to grab the guests or the table and it just would have been a disaster. So I had to get involved. They did not see anything wrong with it. In fact, they were so worried when I pulled them all back away from the table. They wanted to get their phones or they were worried about their food. And I was like, this elephant, he was going to hurt someone. Anyways, so that kind of happens. Elephants, a nightmare. That young bull needs an absolute hiding from one of these big tuskers over here just to put him in his place again. Sorry, I went on a ramble and a tangent, but I love sharing my random stories with you. And that is hands down the closest I've ever been to an elephant on foot. And I never, ever, 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 ever want to be on foot in arm. I could have stroked his head. I could have plucked an eyelash. That's how close he was. It was terrifying. Anyways, we have got a question. Inga P. You said, can a female elephant ever be kicked out of a herd for being too feisty? That's another interesting question. I think yes, absolutely, they could. Um, I don't think it happens very often though, because of the strong bonds that elephants will have. But because the herds can get quite big and not all of them are directly related from one another, you'll find that they have preferences. You know, I mean, elephants are great in the sense that if something is going wrong, they all kind of stick together and they protect one another regardless of the situation. But if it's not a threat and it's an individual upsetting the apple cart, then I think it's a different story. But she might end up leaving, say, with her daughter or older sibling or her mother. It depends on who it is. And maybe they then form a little smaller group of elephants and move away. Animals do this as well. When there's droughts and there's just not enough food availability, they tend to break off into smaller groups. And then what they can also then do is then during the droughts, trying to travel together, they'll form bigger groups that are not necessarily related with one another. And then they can go their separate ways in the wet season when there's more water available. So I wouldn't say no, but it's not likely to happen. Who knows? I could have actually sat and witnessed something like that, but I would never have noticed. And I think you would only be able to confirm something like that if you sat and you watched the same herd of elephants for a number of years. So perhaps I haven't read it before, but I can go and look. Somebody like Dr. Joyce Poole, or Dr. Cynthia Moss, who has uh, studied elephants and as researchers for many, many years, they might be able to say, okay, well, we watched this herd for X amount of points, blah, blah, blah. And yes, we have seen it in two different herds where it has happened. So I'm not really the best person to ask, but that's what I would go with. Okay, we are going to head to another camera now, and we're going to do a little bit of birding. We'll give the elephants a break. Okie dokie. Gosh, we've been all over. We've been in Kenya this morning. Then we were in the eastern corner of South Africa. Now we're all over to the western parts of Africa, and well, not west, southwest. We're in Namibia. Very different environment. It's a place called Safari Hook. Arid, trees completely different. Lots of rocks. Not much to eat for the elephants in this particular location. And this is a big elephant bull that we could see. Oh, no, we're going to do birding. Hang on. We've spoken lots about elephants. Let's focus on the birds because this is nice. So I'll give you a chance to all have a look. For those of you that have got bird apps, it's quite nice. I mean, you can do this. There's no rules. Maybe you can start a bird list for live at the waterhole cameras. Tricky though, because you don't have multiple countries. But even if you have a book. So what I want you all to do, first one, we all know what the blacksmith lapwing looks like. The one that flew, black body for the most part, white crowned, and they're always bullying lots of other waters. Now, the next thing that I want you to do is go to storks, which is this big bird over here. I think most of you would have been sitting there going, "It's a stork, Taylor." And that's great. You put it into a family. 101 of birding. You don't have to know exactly what the species is when you are still learning. If you can just put it into a family, that makes it 1,000 times different. And this, I'm waiting for you to all answer me now, is a, I wish it was like real time. There's obviously a slight delay. There's a black stork, in case you were wondering. If you were tempted to say red-billed stork, sorry to disappoint you, but there aren't any. But a black stork nonetheless, where you can see, oh, okay, there we go. Leopard lover, hello, hello. You said that the bird with the red beak is a new one for you. So there we go. Black stork is a new one. Now, what might be a little bit trickier is behind this dead tree are two other birds. Now, it could be one of two different things. It could be a cormorant or a darter. Now, I know what the answer is here. Well, I think I do at least. Is you're going to go, they look so different. But if you knew, you don't really know. So if you go to cormorants, we'll be looking at another bird first. Okay, we'll get back to them because they're not going to go anywhere. This is a cool one. This will be a tricky one to identify because it doesn't look like the traditional members in the family. But I'll give you a clue. This is in the heron family, and it's a smaller species of heron. It's got streaking on the back. Anybody? Nobody? Somebody? Come on. I'm hoping you've all said like striated heron or greenbacked heron. That's where we're going with this one. No one yet. I know. Sorry, I sometimes want to linger and not say what the answer is, but it can be quite tricky at times to do that. So then I get excited. Oh, is it? No. Hang on. Beautiful bird, though. So the name of this has changed quite a bit. It's gone back to its old name, like I said. But they're phenomenal birds to watch. Agile, small, don't have long legs like a lot of the other herons do. But look how big the feet are in comparison of the bird. And look at the stealth movements, looking for any ripples, anything, any sign, maybe a flash of silver from a fish, perhaps mud moving off the bottom of the floor or the ground from a frog. Let's see if it's going to catch anything. Gosh, it's licking its beak at this point. Oh, and it made a strike, but no luck. I don't think it's going to give up so easily. Then we've got a few of you who are mentioning about that. Oh, Catherine, you got Blackstalk right, which was great. And Leopard Lover, looking at the heron that we're talking about now, you asked if it is a night heron. So, good guess, because they're a smaller species of heron. But one of the things that stand out here, if you look at a white-backed night heron, right, which you can see maybe where you could start looking at. I'm just trying to see, is it a white? No, it's not. Can't be. Now I'm confusing myself all of a sudden. You've got so much of that streaking. No, you see, now this is where I'm like, oh my god, did I identify the bird properly? Did I? But if you look at a white-backed night heron, you'll see how the eye is enormous in in comparison to the size of its head. It does have those sort of rufous underparts on the neck, but you can clearly see it does. You can't really see any of the white feathers that you typically see on the back of the white-backed night heron. So no, and they're more nocturnal than anything. So again, though, I have seen some of the night herons, the black-crowned night herons, moving around during the day as well. So I don't want to say that they don't just hunt at night, but especially the youngsters. But this is not a youngster. This is an adult individual. So green-backed heron. We'll follow it for a little bit. And then Bill, you've said green-backed heron. Nice. And then Prasida, you've also guessed the. Oh, you said black-backed heron. Black-backed heron? The one that we're looking at? Or you may be talking about the. I think you were talking about the bigger one. Close, very close. But that's just a black stork. And it's so surprising in an environment like this to see a striated or green-backed heron. The reason why I say that is it's so open. There's no overhanging vegetation. There's nothing that really points to this being the ideal habitat. But when you're in somewhere like Namibia and it can be quite arid, you don't really have a choice, right? You've got to adapt and evolve and survive. Those were elephants. That wasn't the heron. My goodness. Elephants, we're trying to look at the heron here. I don't know why they always want to steal the show. I love them. But, it's also nice to have a look at other animals too. So it's just about going to walk the entire width and length of the pool. But just moving ever so slowly. I'd also love to know how many fish species are in here, or frogs, or what it's actually going after. Because they'll be in the same boat. Oh, never mind. It's going to show us. That's a little fish. Oh, sweet. Look at it. I don't know what that was. No, why didn't you let me identify the fish? Ate it so quickly. Congratulations. What a phenomenal meal. Let's see if it's going to have a drink of water. Just to wash it down. Well, that was worth it, right? Just staying long enough to be able to see it successfully hunt. Off onto the next one. Already attempting to strike at something. This might be nice with the elephants that are coming around, which we'll have a look at in a moment. They're going to be disturbing the water, and the fish and frogs are going to be wanting to move away from their feet too, which means more opportunities for the heron. What we can do is have a wide view. Looks like we're going into one now. You can see what's roaming about. Oh, it's an Egyptian. Is it? Oh, no, it's a stork again. The stork also got a fish. Oh, my goodness. Never mind. Here, my next thing was going to be, oh, I don't know how many fish species will be here because there isn't a lot of aquatic vegetation. There's not a lot of shade. Wah, 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 wah. Never mind. I'm so glad. Well, I told you now because I like to expose myself all the time because that's just the way that I am. I'm human. And let you know all my faults and things that I get wrong. But I'm glad I didn't initially say that. Tiny little fish species. In fact, I don't even know what they are. But it didn't seem to be too difficult for the heron or the stork. There's a couple of springbuck also moving around in the back. And there are all of the elephants. Gina Lee, you've said that it's so cool to watch the birds hunt up close. Absolutely. We never really get this opportunity at all when we are out in the field. Let's see what this heron is going to do now. Are you going to use the elephant as bait? Do it. What? No. Elephant is like, absolutely not. Oh, you know what? I may have made a mistake, which I do all the time. Then you said it might be a dwarf bittern. And I think you're all right. Good Lord, I don't even know when I've last seen a dwarf bittern. Years and years ago. And I wonder... I'm trying to think. I wonder if it was a non-breeding adult. Sorry, everybody. I get things wrong all the time. Thank you for the correction. I think that you were all spot on with that. And I'm also trying to see what is behind that tree now. It looked like there was more than one bird sitting there, but now I'm wondering if it's actually just another black stork, and I thought it looked like two birds. We'll get to that. It was quite funny, though, with the elephant chasing the bird away. Not necessary, though. This is such a beautiful scene. Hello, Gemsbok. I'm just trying to get a closer view now. I really thought that there were two birds sitting back there.
There's a big male leopard coming this way.
What an absolute beauty.
Yeah, guys, we've got Lalamba and Cub. We've got Lalamba and Shapondo. Look at this. This is amazing.
Become a Wild Earth YouTube member and unlock exclusive bonuses and benefits. Enjoy uninterrupted, ad-free streams so you can stay immersed in nature. Have your burning questions answered first by me or other expert naturalists. Enjoy exclusive access to special broadcasts and videos, and help us to connect people to nature.
Join the Wild Earth Explorers program and connect with a community passionate about wildlife. Support our mission to share authentic wildlife experiences with the world. Your monthly contribution helps provide schools and children access to kids' safaris, fostering a love for nature in the next generation. Embrace the wonders of the bush and make a difference today. Wild Earth, connecting with nature. Wild Earth Travel would like to take you to Namibia and Botswana. Drift over the desert in a hot air balloon, then glide through the lush Okavango Delta in a dugout canoe. This extraordinary journey blends dramatic landscapes with outdoor adventures and unparalleled wildlife encounters. Discover Africa like never before. Book now with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Gosh, we've got enough elephants here to keep us busy for the rest of the afternoon, big and small. There was even one individual that had a collar on it. I have no idea who's doing the monitoring of elephants in Namibia. It's the first time I've actually seen one with a collar. Obviously, there's plenty of conservation organizations in South Africa, in Kenya, all sorts of places. But I've never been to Namibia, so it's kind of like well out of my territory. Lucy, you're wondering if there are any crocodiles at this waterhole? No, for the most part in Namibia, especially around the Etosha regions, crocodiles haven't been seen for an exceptionally long time. I think it's like 50 years. Please don't quote me, but it's somewhere around there when I remember reading, probably last year. So, that's quite a big period of time to go through with no threats in the water, in the sense of a crocodile or in the form of a crocodile. So these animals are quite relaxed. That's why we see also the springbuck and gemsbok, zebra quite happily going in and almost submerging their bodies entirely. If you maybe head up towards where Namibia and Botswana meet in the Caprivi area, that's a different story because that's a very similar ecosystem and there are big rivers with plenty of crocodiles. But down here, nah, I would go with a hard no. And then Sandy Franklin 69, you said, how much does an elephant weigh at birth? Again, it's going to vary. Not all like human babies, for an example, weigh the same. But anywhere between, I'd say, about 50 and 100 kilograms, somewhere around there, would be a good guess. They're so tiny. It's hard to think, though, that they could even weigh, I suppose, the size of an adult if they're on the closer to the 80 to 100 kilogram sector. But look at these two, not worried at all. But elephants do go into water with crocodiles. Not necessarily that they're on high alert. And crocodiles can be quite cheeky. All of the naturalists have really spoken about crocodiles trying to grab elephants' tails or trunks, and it does happen. Quite a bit of footage over the last few years circulating. Leopard lover, you said, are there any seabirds that venture into the bush sometimes? Absolutely, but not very common, and it could happen for a number of different ways. One of the things is massive weather systems blowing birds off course. They could end up, being quite disorientated, maybe in an area that they don't normally spend a lot of time in, or maybe something has happened and those birds have had to change, say, their migratory course, for an example. And then they need a place to sit and to land and just to kind of regather, maybe stock up on food before traveling back on their original path. Like one animal species you don't really think to see is gulls, for an example. We get a variety of different species of gulls all over South Africa. I mean, then there are some places that you go to where you see grey-headed gulls, and you're like, I'm like between Dullstroom, which is a small town in the middle of nowhere, and Johannesburg, and you're like, what on earth are they doing out here? But anyways, if there's enough for the population to thrive and survive, then you might get these strange little local pockets or unusual pockets of birds hanging about. But it's not normal. I'm trying to think in terms of like an ocean bird in the bush. I haven't seen, but there was a flamingo that was sighted in the Kruger National Park. I don't know, I think it was earlier this year. So that was fascinating. I don't think that was a hoax. I think that was real. So strange. There it was. Didn't stayed for a couple of days, and then off it went. I suppose it would have been difficult for the flamingos this year, to be quite honest. With no rain, wasn't lots of opportunities for the usual breeding sites. So, yeah, maybe even blown off course. And then, Catherine, you said that the only crocodiles that you have ever seen are in the Caprivi, where the Kunene River is. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. No, but it's just too arid for crocodiles to venture down this way. It's not to say that it's impossible, because it absolutely is. But it's so seasonal, the water holes, if they're not pumped, can dry out completely. And it's not like there's just another water hole or river system that's just a stone throw away that the crocodile could move to. But look how happy they are. So just having a quick look regarding elephant conservation and through one of the main conservation organizations, and I've stumbled across a company called Elephant Human Relations Aid, EHRA, and they've been working with elephants, or free roaming desert elephants more specifically, and the local community since 2003. So more than likely not, they might be responsible for putting a collar on individuals. You might even find that maybe elephants that are labeled, I hate using the word problematic, but those that maybe are targeting communities, taking advantage of their resources, because why wouldn't you if it's easy? But maybe some of those elephants would be collared just to make sure if they do get too close that they can try and get them out of there safely. It happens a lot with lions in East Africa. We see that. And then again, I've seen it in South Africa with some elephant bulls too. But then again, there's all sorts of other research that is being done. So many elephants could be tagged. So thank you, Marianne van der Heerden. You've actually just said that there was apparently a brilliant man who was talking about conservation of elephants in Namibia, which is awesome. Yeah, I'd love to do more research on that. It's just always something. It's so difficult. You're not spending time in those areas. That's always good to know. So the only desert elephants I've ever seen have been thanks to these waterhole cameras, bringing me ever so close. Look at that big one just having a little rest. I think I would lie there, but I'd put my head on this little island. And then sleep.
Join Wild Earth Travel on a unique nature adventure in the Greater Kruger Park. Legendary master tracker Renius Mhlongo leads a 4-day animal tracking experience followed by 3 nights in the Sabi Sand Nature Reserve. This experience offers a life-changing chance to track Africa's iconic animals on foot with a master of his craft. Renius is joined by Wild Earth presenter and expert storyteller Amy Krantz, and together they will connect you to Africa's wild heart. Welcome to a new era of seamless travel. Enjoy a hassle-free ticket purchase system with an effortless check-in, offering unbeatable value and a variety of options. Redefine business travel with Africa's award-winning value-based airline. FastJet, value, choice, flexibility. Come with us on a beautiful wildlife journey with Safari Spotlight. 4 unique South African locations, countless unforgettable moments, jam-packed with exhilarating and inspiring wildlife sightings. Bringing you intimate and exciting virtual safaris.
And it jumped up like this and shimmied all the way up.
Enjoy jaw-dropping moments as we tell authentic conservation story. Safari Spotlight is your ticket into the heart of the African wild. Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
It looks like these 2 bulls are sticking around, not going anywhere just yet. We're going to head to one of my favorite cameras now, back up in Kenya, but at Old Donyo. Look at this view. Isn't this spectacular? I'm just about to see underneath this elephant's belly. Oh, this is great. You can hear him. Look how white his tusks are as well. Not very often that they look that bright and white. They're always covered in mud, dirt, or when they're pulling down trees, often the bark stains their tusks too. No one else around him, though. No zebra, no giraffe, no other elephants wanting to join. Does anyone recognize this bull? The reason why I say that is look how tatty his ears are on both sides. Like someone has taken a pair of scissors. Those scissors that you use to cut the different shapes in paper. Don't know if you remember those. Also, disclaimer, no one has cut this elephant's ears. It's just what it looks like, which to me makes him an easily identifiable individual. But I haven't spent too much time at the old Donyo cameras for a while. I've only got back into hosting live at the waterhole, especially at this time of the year when things start to wind down. But if you do know him, let me know. No collar though, but a good set of tusks on him. Now he's finished having a drink. Almost looks like he's about to have a siesta. That is a big elephant. A lot of the bulls we've been seeing are not at the age of this individual. Again, it's really hard to say, but I want to put him in his late 40s, going into his 50s, or maybe early 50s already. Probably early 50s. But look at him. He's extraordinary. Yeah. Crossing his back leg now. He's getting ready to have a siesta. We might have to go to another camera in a moment. I'm not sure if it's just glitching on my side. It could be, like I said, the joys of internet and Hoodspray doesn't exist. Barely. There we go. Sorry, everyone. It seems as though Hoodspray, sorry for talking badly about you. You were not the problem. It was some technical issues. But, of course, Safari Hook, we can continue to get our 11.6. And isn't that beautiful? I mean, if there was no ripples in the water, can you imagine the reflection you'd be getting on the blue sky and the clouds? With the elephants waiting on the outside, look like they're about to step into the sky. Oh, I can dream. What an overactive imagination. Look at that little one on the right, sussing out what are those two that are submerged? What are they doing? Maybe I can go play with them or chase them. Kelly, you've asked if I'd consider elephants to be very water dependent animals. So it's an interesting one. I mean, ideally, elephants would drink every single day, and if they could drink 20 times a day, they would, right? But that doesn't always work so well if you've got to travel a distance to find your food. You've got to balance it out. So if they drink once a day, that's great. But while they are traveling huge distances, so say in an environment like Namibia, where the where it's quite a harsh environment and there aren't lots of water spots, just everywhere, there's big distances, then maybe they go almost a day or so or two without drinking. Maybe some of the plants that they then feed on, any tubers or fruits, that they might be picking off the surface or digging tubers and roots out from underneath the ground, and some of the leaves might hold more moisture, especially in the mornings or very early mornings, and I suppose late evenings when the temperature drops and then you get dew forming on plants. But again, for an elephant, gosh, a little droplet on a leaf, for an example, is really not going to make a significant difference in its daily water consumption needs. But in Namibia, they spend a lot of time around water. I find, from what I've seen on the cameras, even longer than what we see in, say, South Africa. They drink a lot, but they stand for ages and ages being exposed to the sun, not always having big trees to shade themselves under. And they'll use more water just to cool themselves down. These elephants are so sweet. And then Lenny said, are there any female tuskers, or is it always just male? Well, this is the incredible thing. If you'd asked me this question when I first started guiding, I would have said yes. And that, for me, would have been a naive thing to say. But I think most people would go, yeah, absolutely. It's just the males that get really big tusks. When you move into East Africa, and I'll just talk about the Masai Mara and the Serengeti in Tanzania, because those are two areas that you've, at some point in your life, you've watched a documentary about it, or maybe it's on your bucket list to travel, or perhaps you've even been there. You find the elephants there, the cows, they've got enormous tusks. Now, nowhere near the thickness of the tusk, for example, that we saw with that big bull at Old Donyo camera now. But for the most part, they are long and they are straight, like toothpicks, but obviously a lot thicker than a toothpick. So I've seen some enormous females with long tusks, and I forget there was a female elephant. I mean, I know I could sit here now and Google it, but I can't remember the name of her. But she was giant. I think she was from Kenya, but now I am going to have to ask the internet. Because why not? Very cool to have the internet at your fingertips, of course. Very spoiled. Except if you could only see what I tell while watching these animals. Yes, it was in Kenya. Her name was Dida or Dida. I think Dida is probably the case. And she died. I don't know when she died. In 2022. Gosh, from one of the worst droughts that Kenya had ever seen. Isn't that crazy? Was it 2022? Sorry, I'm just having a quick look here. Yeah, it was 2022. November. Madness. And they estimated her to be about 60, 65 years old. That's incredible. And she just died of old age. Go and have a look at pictures of her. So Google Dida, Dida, elephant, Kenya. You'll have a look. She's enormous. She looks just like a male. But you'll see what I mean when I talk about the tusks. And of course, with that very sharp, angular head, it gives away that it's a female. Wow, she would have been incredible to see. I haven't spent much time up in Savo, so she wouldn't have crossed my path, unfortunately. But definitely worth the web search. You won't be sorry. I mean, in this day and age, we very rarely see elephant bulls with tusks as magnificent as hers. But I'm sure that her gene will be passed on to, or has already been passed on to, many elephants. So Gwen is directing the show. She's sitting in Johannesburg, and she said, hectic. Those are huge tusks. And I had such a laugh because I recently met a couple, and she is from South Africa and Botswana, but lives in Sweden. And I said to her, what is one of the things that you miss the most? And she replied with the random words that South Africans use to describe many different emotions, right? So, like, it could be something really sad, and then we go, oh no, that's hectic. Or, wow, that's so hectic. It's madness. You can just use that word for everything. And I'm guilty. I use it like 300 times a day at least. Watch now that I pointed it out. Listen to how many times I say it. And we can't. It's just genetically programmed in South Africans. I think I've even heard James Hendry say it a few times, which is saying something. They'd come the springbuck. Just having a quick drink, wetting their hooves, not really making it all the way into the waterhole. I don't know if I'd like to be in the waterhole with elephants. Yeah, we see it at Aldonio, but that's quite a small little pan. This is obviously a lot more room. But when they do start frolicking about, goodness gracious, good luck. Doing what that elephant is doing there, kicking its front feet, trying to loosen up the soil or mud, and then it will toss it over itself. That's more effective, of course, than just putting pure water over you. It's nice to have muddy water. There they all are, waiting their turn. I don't know why they're waiting their turn, because there's so much frontage here that they could drink from. They don't all have to cramp on top of each other and around the stump. Sometimes I wonder about animals, but I suppose they're doing it for a certain reason, right?
Seven nights on safari during the magnificent green season. The rains have stopped, the land is emerald, and there are wild babies everywhere. Meet your favorite presenters.
This is amazing.
And create unforgettable memories on this once-in-a-lifetime adventure.
Thank you for coming along on this little adventure.
The Green Season Grand Tour, only with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive. We are thrilled to announce our new exclusive feature for YouTube members and explorers. Join us live every Tuesday for our sunrise and sunset safaris. Experience Tawny Tuesday like never before with up-close encounters and breathtaking moments. Don't miss out. Become a YouTube member or explorer today and immerse yourself in the heart of the bush. See you Tuesday.
Kenya's people, the landscapes and spectacular wildlife make it the ultimate safari destination. Come with me to the Masai Mara and Amboseli in May 2025. We'll explore the vast savannas looking for predators and then marvel at Kilimanjaro as the last big tuskers graze below. This safari is the perfect nature connection to calm the soul and escape from the world's folly.
It's also nice to see waterbuck roaming around. Goodness gracious, look at that enormous elephant bull standing amongst all the others. He dwarfs the rest of them. Now, I know there's quite a few youngsters, but you can see it looks like some adult cows on the right-hand side, and they've just got nothing of him in terms of his size. Gosh, that's a big animal. And then Yuki Beck, you said "aish" is another one of those hectic words. Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. And sorry. And shame. Shame for everything. That's my favorite. We just so good. I love our nation so much and just how we just decide we're going to use the words differently from the rest of the world. And that's our story, and we're sticking to it, and no one can tell us otherwise. It must be so difficult for people visiting South Africa to not quite understand what we're talking about. Never mind just our accents that throw people off. And then, Catherine, you've said that you love when you can use words for very different things depending on the context, and that you said that you've got a couple of those in Germany. I'd like to hear those German words, please, Catherine. Let me know. I need to know them so I'm prepared. And if you're watching from different places of the world, maybe you can share that too. I know it's not wildlife behavior, but it's quite funny to learn about different cultures, right? And different sayings and how we use them relevant to whatever the context may be. Sounds like things are settling down at the waterhole, though. There's one elephant splashing about, but everyone else seems to have moved off. Earth Lover, you've said you use haibo. Haibo is a phenomenal word as well. I say that a lot too. I'm trying to think what else I say now, although Gwyn has to listen to me quite often, so maybe Gwyn can tell me what words that I say too often. Hectic is one of them. Cool is another one. That's terrible slang, but I'm going to use it for them. Probably won't use it in a board meeting, but you know. You know is another one. I definitely said, oh my goodness, look at that tiny little elephant. Goodness gracious, you're so small. Just ran straight into the back of Mom, panicking that it wasn't going to be able to get away from the commotion. Don't worry, it was nothing serious. Nothing that a drink of milk can't fix. Gwen says, she says, cool all the time. Yeah, that's my word. There's a couple of others that I say. It'll come to me because now I'll start noticing it and I'll feel so super self-conscious about it. But hey, luckily I've got other insecurities. No, just teasing. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Dark humor needs to stay in its box. And now look at this elephant. She doesn't even have tusks. So I was just reading about Dida and that elephant cow with the most enormous tusks in the whole wide world. And then I stumbled across the Kruger National Park that actually has a page dedicated to female tusker elephants. And I was quite surprised by that because I didn't know that that was there all these years. So it is there. There's not very many that they really talk about here. I'm just trying to open it now because I want to read you their names. But the internet is slow. And now I've gone out. I'll find it again now. Here we go. Okay, so there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individuals. If you go again, follow me on the internet because I sadly can't show you here. But if you just type in female tuskers, elephants, Kruger, then it pops up on a page on the Sandparks website, and they list the five individuals. So we've got Jubilala. She's big, right? She's got one tusk. Her right tusk bends around, but yeah, it's very thin. Then there's Marele. She's there too. She's got decent tusks, but not the biggest that I've ever seen. And then we've got ones that are going to be difficult for me to pronounce. I need to excuse me for my pronunciation. Nwami Sejani, something like that. Sorry for the terrible pronunciation. Also, one tusk exceptionally long, and then Nwamdlovu, another female. She's got pretty equal sort of tusks, but they don't go straight to the ground. So nothing in comparison to what we've been seeing in what has been seen in East Africa. And in fact, the elephant cows I have seen in Kenya, in comparison to those 5 females that they talk about in the Kruger National Park, have been much larger. And then, Catherine, you've come back. My German is not great. It's terrible. In fact, I don't know why I said it's not great. Like I can speak it a little bit. You said that mfahen. No, now I want to say it like a Xhosa word for an example. You have to send me a voice note and pronounce that. But anyways, it means what? Umgahen. No, umfahen. Maybe. It means to drive over someone or drive around someone, depending on the context. So I know which way I'd use it. And then leopard lover, you've said that you use now, just now, and now, now. And then apparently Tristan taught you now, 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 which is always quite complicating for people because we say it doesn't matter when. You ask people what does it mean, and we use now, 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 and just now interchangeably. I don't know one person that's consistent using it with how it's supposed to be used. Then another one is must. Yes, must. You must do this. Interesting. We do say that a lot. I must go and brush my hair. I must have a drink of water. Yeah, actually, we do say that all the time, and I don't know why we. Anyways, and then apparently in Australia, you say stone the flaming crows, which means no ways. I'm surprised. I love that. I'm going to be saying that all the time, especially when I see a bug on the live drives. Hey, stone the flaming crows. I'm going to have to go and do some research and just throw them out. But Aussies and the British and also South Africans, we've got strange things. A lot of the time when I spend time with Americans or anyone from North America, they always laugh at the phrases that we say. I think Gwen says, geez, like that's kind of like, oh, I suppose again, you can use that one. It could be quite offensive. Like if somebody says something that's not great and hurt your feelings a little bit, you could be like, geez, like, or very excited, like maybe something close calls. Cedric likes to say, gee whiskers, apparently. I say apparently a lot. I'm like that kid from that meme where he says apparently he's never been to Disneyland before. I say that all the time. I could be him, but the lady version and also an adult version. I can't say that I'm like 8 years old, which is disappointing. But anyways, we digress. You see, whole herd of elephants moved on. Whether they're from the same herd is difficult to say, but even if they are, they don't always stick together. Some might like to linger longer, spend a bit more time staying cool, drinking. Maybe there's a young calf that's slowing them down. But that's me on the right, that elephant in the water. I was doing that yesterday. Oh, goodness, the elephants are just so much bigger in Namibia. Like, look at the average size of the cow. She's big, that one on the left. That's a big elephant. Look at the differences. I love it between a big elephant cow and a big elephant bull. Her head is still relatively small in comparison to the size of her body. Whereas that big dominant bull that's standing just off to the right, he's big. He's kind of in proportion. Look at this. His head is double her size. And in fact, it's the biggest part of his body. Crazy. Oh my goodness, that's huge. I don't know when I last saw a big elephant like that. I did see Ezzelweenie, like I think about 2 months ago. Is it 2 months ago? Maybe a month ago. And he's a great tusker that lives in the Greater Kruger area around Maluli, Pridelands. And he's enormous. But other than that, I think trying to think on Juma when I've last saw an exceptionally large elephant bull. Dare I say it's been years. Oh no, he's going to paint himself with that lovely red sand. Okie dokie, we're going to head over to Simbavati now and check out waterbuck and warthogs, or maybe just one of each. Aha! Warthogs and waterbucks. Got 3 pigs, And 2 reindeer. Sorry, no, waterbuck. They're like the closest thing we get to a reindeer in South Africa. Of course, they're not related. But it's always fun to watch warthogs have a wallow in the mud. Look at them using their snouts to sort of loosen the soil. Looks like they're trying to increase that little jacuzzi they've got going on there. They don't like to go out into particularly deep water unless they absolutely have to. Don't think that warthogs can't swim, because they can. Pigs can swim very well.
Experience the magic of the wild on an unforgettable 4-night safari at Mabula Nature Reserve, hosted by the one and only Stephen Falconbridge. With Steve as your private guide, you'll gain incredible insights into Africa's wildlife, leaving with knowledge and memories to last a lifetime. Get hands-on with conservation, track elusive cheetahs, and even take to the skies on a hot air balloon ride. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive. Join the Wild Earth YouTube superfan community and unlock a world of additional perks. Get exclusive early access or discounts to Wild Earth travel deals. Wear the best bush attire with merchandising discounts. Enjoy an interactive live monthly private safari. Don't miss out on the ultimate fan experience. Join the YouTube superfan community today.
Get ready for a fantastic and new wildlife adventure. On safari is going to be your favorite way to experience the wonders of the wild. Join us every week as we wrap up the most exciting and unusual highlights from our Wild Earth locations, dive into virtual safaris, learn to track and sign, special features on birds, medicinal plants, and fascinating natural history. On Safari brings the wild to you.
It's finally here, the next Wild Earth Grand Tour. Get ready for 7 unforgettable nights of prime wildlife viewing in the Sabi Sands during peak predator season. Immerse yourself with past and present Wild Earth presenters. Participate in a rhino conservation experience and get a behind-the-scenes look at wildlife filmmaking. Hosted by James Hendry. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
I've seen the camp before it became in some of our. It's really interesting. This enormous waterholes, beautiful, but I haven't seen it since it's been changed around. And a lot of wildlife is attracted, as you can imagine. But we have been lucky. Unfortunately, my terrible bird ID didn't go well. It didn't go well for me today. I'm going to blame it on the fact that I'm sick. Not anything too serious, of course. Just, there's always a cold or something going around, and I'm the first one to pick it up. Drives me. Although I've been avoiding it, and I've now finally caught up to me. I thought it was in the clearing for December, as we call it in South Africa, December for food. These all look like boars. I'm just waiting for them to jump up now. The one on the back left is definitely a boar. They're all scooting their bottoms across the ground. Look at that little scoot motion. And all just taking their turns. Again, they've got to sit on top of one another, but they could quite easily all wallow together and not have to take turns. Let's come back. Looks like there's a few females as well. Not old females, so these might be the youngsters from the last 2 or 3 years. All just hanging around together because The sows at the moment, the adults that are breeding, they've all got little piglets. They still transform more piglets to come, but then they get quite annoyed and they chase their previous offspring off. And then it makes sense to not hang around by yourself, but join others that are in a very similar situation as you. And you can complain about it. And no, I'm just teasing that. I don't know if they would do that. I'd love to be able to speak animal just for like a week. Not even like a day is too short. I won't be able to talk to everybody enough. I need a week at least. But even the warthogs are cotton bothered, and these females look pregnant. Look at those big bellies, especially the one on the right. She looks like she's about to burst. And those black patches, you might be noticing underneath their bellies, they've all got them. Those are sebaceous glands, so oil secreting glands. And that substance smells revolting, but it does have a purpose. It helps repel water off of the coat. Can't imagine any parasites would want to go near that though. I've never found a dead waterbuck carcass. Oh, well, it can only be a carcass if it's dead, Taylor. Sometimes I do say the most ridiculous things. With all its hair on it. Because I'd love to be able to see the glands and understand like what's happening around it. Like look for parasites, that type of thing. But when I find them, they've always been munched on by a lion. So, not much left. All the birds sort of all just chirping and chatting. But these waterbuck are really just trying to make do with what they have. Go walk through the water, that'll be lovely. And then Penelope, you've said thank you to me and Wild Earth. You said hamba gachle and salagachle. Penelope, which means stay well. So that's a typical greeting, especially in isiXhosa, where you say to somebody hamba gachle, go well. And then the person that is remaining, well, you would say to them, salagachle. But we don't have much time just left. It's been awesome, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another live at the waterhole. But until then, have a wonderful Monday, and we'll chat soon. Bye-bye.